back to another episode of Fox Sports Live NRL. We're well and truly into the season now, round 5. Josh Morris, how are you going this morning?
I'm good, Eloise, and I saw you on the TV over the weekend. I thought you did a great job, but we're here to talk about round 5.
We are. Round 5 is upon us, and thanks so much for the compliment. Just tune in to you on the sideline. That's where I get the best tips from. But I want to get your tips today because first up is the Storm hosting the Broncos. Storm $1.44, Broncos $2.75. A bit surprising after the effort of what we saw from Broncos last week.
Yeah, it is a bit surprising, those odds, and I actually like the Broncos at that price. Obviously, the Storm welcome back Cameron Munster. He's finally playing. That groin has finally settled down. Jerome Hughes is back. So I think it's a great battle of the halves in this one. Young Ezra Mam and the experience of Adam Reynolds against Munster and Hughes. I really like the Broncos in this one. I really like what they did in the Cowboys game. It was a little bit messy early and was kind of try for try, but then in the second half, Adam Reynolds showed why he's one of the best halfbacks in the comp. His kicking game absolutely destroyed the Cowboys. He had the ball on a string, and I fancy their chances going down to Melbourne and getting the victory in this one. And we also, Ben Takura makes his debut. I can't wait to see this bloke. He's one of the biggest players in the NRL. So I'm interested to see how that pans out with the Broncos. But yeah, I take the Broncos at that price any day.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a huge task going down to Amy Park, but you're backing them in for that one. Next up, we are looking at the Bulldogs taking on the Roosters. Bulldogs $3.45, $1.31 here for the Roosters. Which way do you see this one going?
Oh, look, I think you can't say no to the Roosters. I mean, the Bulldogs, they were brave against the Bunnies on Good Friday, but they've lost Josh Adokar to a HIA and lost Jacob Preston. That's a massive out. He was their player of the year last year for the Roosters. They would have fancied their chances against Penrith last week, but they were humbled a little bit. And under strength, Penrith ended up beating them. So I think the Roosters will be looking to flex their muscles. Lindsay Collins returns in a big boost to their front row stocks, and I think the Roosters can win this one comfortably as well. I've tipped them 13+.
13 plus there for the Roosters. That's a big call. Next up, we have the Rabbitohs taking on the Warriors. $2.02 versus the Warriors at $1.79. Really, it's a flip of the coin, whoever is on the day.
Yeah, I think the team that's performing better is obviously the Warriors. And they've had a couple of wins now. South, their first month of football hasn't been too inspiring. I mean, the Bulldogs almost beat them again. They could have been 0-4 to start the season. That one win may give them the confidence to kick on, but I just think the Warriors, they've got Shans Nickel-Klukstad back, Tamari Martin's in, and Marata Niokora comes in for Kurt Capewell. For the Bunnies, Alex Johnson, the try scorer, he's out. Sean Kepi's back in. Look, I just like what the Warriors have been doing. I think they'll get the job done here, but I think it'll be a closer game than what most people think.
Could go down to the wire in that one. Now, this next one I'm really looking forward to. 4 Pines Park. It's expected to be a sellout. Seagulls hosting the Premiers. The Premiers are $1.66, so they're the favourites here, up against the Seagulls at $2.24. But we have to remember the Seagulls are coming off that huge loss to the Dragons. Very uncharacteristic for the first month of footy that what we have seen in 2024 from them.
Yeah, they looked like a different side on the weekend. Their attack was spluttering. It was clunky. It almost looked like there were 14 players for the Dragons because they just couldn't get across the try line no matter how hard they tried. I think most of them were off. It was probably one of the poorer games I've seen Daly Cherry Evans have. He doesn't, back-to-back performances. He doesn't put in bad ones. So he'll be right up for this one. But James Fisher-Harris is back in for Penrith in a massive inclusion for them. This will go a long way to, Manly's confidence being sky high if they can beat the Premiers here, but I can't see it. I think we've got another game where we'll see a 13+ scoreline in favour of the Panthers in this one.
Wow, you think the Panthers are going to get the wood over the Seagulls at home after 2 losses?
Yeah, that's my big call. I think the Panthers, they're showing why they're going to be hard to beat again this year. No matter who they bring in, they always seem to get the job done. And as I said, that inclusion of James Fisher-Harris, he'll go toe-to-toe with their pack. And, I think Penrith will be way too strong in this one as well.
That's a scary prospect. I think they could go 4 on the trot for the premiership. Next up, we've got the Raiders hosting the Eels. Raiders $1.70, Eels $2.15. No Mitch Moses. We know we saw that on the weekend. Who do you fancy here?
Yeah, well, Canberra is always a hard place to go down and win. Yeah, they were good to start the game against the Sharkies. Got off to a big lead and then got ran down. And Ricky Stewart was very scathing in his assessment of his players. So I think they're going to be ready to come out firing in Canberra, and that's a very scary prospect. I think the loss of Mitch Moses is really hurting them. I think their kicking game was down on the weekend, and I think the Raiders in this one. They're not known for scoring a lot of points, but I think they can get enough points to beat the Eels in this one.
What makes going down to GIO Stadium so difficult on a Sunday afternoon?
Well, it just depends how cold it is, Eloise. It really does. It's like an extra player. The crowd down there, they embrace the cold. The players embrace the cold. So yeah, it's not one of the nicer places to play, and the Canberra players know that. And they perform well in front of their home crowds as well. And as I said, after Ricky's assessment of their team, they won't want to put in another performance like that.
Well, let's look elsewhere on the draw for round 5, Josh, because another coach that gave a really, I suppose, scathing assessment of his own side and didn't mince his words was Des Hasler. They come up against the Cowboys this weekend up there in Townsville. Can we expect them to get on the board?
No, we can't unless the Cowboys have an absolute shocker in this one. They're too classy. They were obviously disappointed by the Broncos' loss. They had 15 errors in the outside backs against the Broncos. I don't think we'll see that again this year from the Cowboys' outside backs. I think they'll be shooting lights out up there, and I think the Cowboys will win this one very comfortably. And Des still has a lot. He's got to find a lot of answers, and he's got to find them soon because the Titans are really struggling.
Yeah, not good. It's got not good viewing for Titans fans at the moment. Up next, the Knights hosting the Dragons. Dragons obviously boosted by that win over Manly. Knights, well, they've made another halves change. Jackson Hastings returns to the side. What do you think about that change?
Yeah, look, they've got to try things, and at the start of the season, they're obviously trying to settle that combination in the halves. I don't mind it. I don't see Jackson Hastings being, a worse replacement. So I actually like the Knights in this one, that home ground advantage, and they'll brave over there in New Zealand against the Warriors. So I think they'll come back to a packed Newcastle Stadium, and I think they'll be able to get the job done against the Dragons.
And last but not least, Dolphins taking on the West Tigers. West Tigers are 2 on the trot. They've got a little bit of confidence, but so too the Dolphins at this time of year.
Yeah, this is actually a good game. I think the storyline to watch here is the battle of the fullbacks. We've got young Jareen Buller versus the Hammer. So I think whoever shines the brightest out of those two, I think that team wins. To be honest, I think that's how much of an impact these two players have on their sides. If I have to pick one side, I'm going to go with the Dolphins up there. Lockie Galvin is out for 2 weeks. Same as Plath for their hip drop tackles. They both, are important cogs in their side, but I feel like the Dolphins up there are going to be harder to beat. So I've just tipped the Dolphins. That was the toughest pick of the round. I think they can go either way, that one.
Yeah, nice one going down to the wire, hopefully for the Dolphins and the West Tigers. And just before we let you go, just recapping your big call of the round, you think that the Panthers are going to win over Manly 13 plus this weekend?
Yes, I think so. I think they're just too good. They've showed at time and time again that it doesn't matter who steps in to play for them, they can get the job done. I thought Brad Snyder looked like he had played in the Panthers outfit, like he was been there for the last 3 years, and that gives me the confidence to suggest that the Panthers can get the job done against Manly here and win big, 13 plus away from home.
So Eagles fans will be hoping you're wrong. Josh Morris, thanks so much for another episode. As always, we'll see you next week when we recap round 6.
Thanks, Eloise. See you next week.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.